If you are booked to travel for March break this year, we got some tips to make things go as smooth as possible. There's only so much you can control while traveling, especially if tiny humans are involved. So why not set yourself up for success with what you can control and grace for what you can't? Joining us this morning with his tips, travel journalist Lauren Christie. Great to have you.
Morning.
So we're assuming you've already booked, you've already paid, you're ready to go. Traveling with the family, we know it can be difficult. At March break, it is especially busy. So we all know to bring like snacks and games for the plane or whatever, but what other tips do you have for traveling with kids?
Well, this was fun because I reached out on social media to a bunch of parent friends out there. So I got like a whole slew. So I'm picking out a couple. So when it comes to a resort, first of all, this was sort of a random tip, but I loved it. Bring your own inflatables for the pool or the ocean, because although they may say they have some, usually it's a limited supply and they're going to be in high demand. So bring your own. Even more randomly, but I also like, was another parent said that they have had issues in the past with how dark the room is in the hotel, that there's too much light, their kids can't sleep. So she always packs black garbage bags and carpenter tape to do DIY blackout blinds in her hotel room. So I thought that was sort of bizarre, but interesting. Another one I really thought was good, this sort of gets into the plane and the plane time with toddlers and infants. Bring your car seat on the plane. Yes, it's a bit cumbersome when you're trying to go through, but rather than holding the baby or using something else, the car seat is something that once they're settled down and settled in, they're used to it. And so her advice is that her child has a much easier plane rather than climbing all over the place as she's in the car seat. My favorite one was the woman who travels with her infant and said she makes DIY diaper kits before she goes. She takes a Ziploc, diaper, cream, wipes, and a change of clothes, zips several of them in, puts them in her bag. So instead of when she's on the plane and having to go to the washroom scrambling with a whole bunch of things, she picks out one Ziploc bag, changes the baby, dirty diaper in, back to her seat, which I thought was pretty brilliant.
I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, I really like that one. And the other one I got from a couple people was wear your kid. And what I mean by that is knapsack, sling, whatever. You need your hands for boarding pass, passport, and whatever. So those were 5. There were many more, but I thought those were fun.
Those are great tips. In terms of currency, if you're outside the country, you say never take the option to have a transaction converted into Canadian currency when paying the bill. I didn't know that.
Yeah, if you see those point of sale things, it gives you an option often. Always do the local currency. You'll pay a higher transaction fee and higher currency conversion if you choose the local option. And even the Government of Canada website, it's like one of their main tips when you're traveling with currency.
Oh, there you go. If you're not taking a vacation from your phone and you need to be online, what should we be doing? Because honestly, like nothing ruins a vacation other than like massive roaming charges.
Yeah, and roaming charges are massive these days. I used to get the SIM card, like the little hard one, but now eSIMs are taking over, and people that I know that travel a lot swear by them. So there's an app you can get called Airello, and it's a great one. It's 190 countries that it's got service in. It's so much cheaper. It does cost, but when I go to Mexico next week, I'm going to try it out for the first time, and it's probably going to cost me between $10 and $20 for the whole week for data.
Okay, so that's much better.
Much better.
The airport, it can be challenging. Any tips there?
Well, you know what? This is very interesting. My first tip is make sure that you make sure that your liquids are 100 milliliters or less. And it's shocking that I have to give that tip after 20 years, but I think every single person has been behind the person. It's like, what? My giant suntan lotion can't go in the, like, it's crazy that people are still doing that, but they are. So make sure you obey those rules. I say bring an empty, sustainable water bottle with you. It's great. More and more airports, I think I first saw it in Halifax a few years ago, and now those have those water refillable stations. So it's a much better way to do it, and you don't have to worry about that. I also think if you're going through, just make sure that you're ready for the security line. Have your boarding pass ready. Instead of having everything in your pockets, put it in your carry-on bag so that you can just zip through quickly. Yeah, I think those are some good ones to remember.
And then on the way home, you say you should use ArriveCan.
I do. I think ArriveCan, you know, it's gotten a lot of bad press lately, but the reality is it was developed during the pandemic, but it's your early arrival customs form. And most people don't use it because it has a bad connotation these days, I think. But essentially what you're doing is before you get into the customs hall, you're filling everything out, and there's a separate line for you if you've used ArriveCan. So I don't know if you've noticed it at Pearson lately, but there's barely anyone in that line, whereas I've gone through a couple of times and it's quicker than the Nexus.
Well, there you go. I mean,
so use the app.
People worried about giving all their info to the government anyway.
You
already are.
You already are. That's the thing. You're giving it in a different form, so just use the app.
Okay, well, thanks so much for these tips.
Thanks.
And happy travels if you're going anywhere. Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.